Welcome to the Sun River Anglers Fly Tying Corner for this month. I'm going to tie Quigly's Loopy wing in a blue wing olive. This is a fly I tied for a customer recently and I really like it, and I've been experimenting with it on the Fall River with good results in this warm, rainy weather we've had the last few weeks of December and January this year. Blue wing olives have really been hatching well on the Fall River, the Crooked River, and on the Metolius here recently. So give this pattern a try. I think you'll like it. It is effective. So let's review the materials list for this pattern. I'm using a Firehole 413 in size 16. This is a 2x short, 3x gape hook with a medium wire, and it's a competition barbless hook that I like for dry flies, and particularly dry fly mayflies. For the thread, I'm using Baetis 14-aught in olive. For the trailing shuck, I'm going to use crinkled Zelon in a dark olive that I get from Blue Ribbon Flies in West Yellowstone, Montana. For the abdomen, I'm going to use a Nature's Spirit Turkey Biot quill, and that's in Baetis or Blue Wing Olive color. For the wing, I'm going to use a medium dun CDC feather that I get from Trout Hunter in Island Park, Idaho. For the dubbing, I'm going to use CDC feathers and strip the barbs off the feather and dub them to the thread to give this fly excellent flotation. And lastly, for the hackle, I'm going to use a Whiting Farms midge saddle in dyed grizzly dun. This is a small size hackle that I like because the fly will ride real low on the water, and that's an important part of this pattern. So let's get started on this pattern. I'm going to attach the thread up at the front part of the hook and wind back and clip off the excess. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie in a piece of Zelon, and I'm going to tie that back around the bend of the hook and down to about where the barb of the hook would typically be on a barbed hook. And I'll clip off the excess about the length of the body of this fly. So next I'm going to tie in my turkey biot, and I'll tie that in by the tip with the opaque side forward and the translucent side backward. The first wrap it will flip and give you that nice segmented look on your body. And underneath, or before I start wrapping, I'm going to go ahead and put some glue. I like to tie a biot into a bed of glue so that it won't tear apart in trout teeth. And then we'll wind this forward up to the front of the abdomen. The next step is I'm going to take a CDC feather and I'm going to tie in the tips of that feather. So first I have to gather those tips all together, and then I'm going to tie it in right at the thorax and wind that back to the back of the thorax and reserve that for an upcoming step. Then I'll go ahead and tie in my hackle feather. I've tied it in shiny side back and dull side forward, dry fly style. Next, I'm going to strip the barbs off a CDC feather and use these for dubbing. So I'll take and dub them onto the thread and then wind it over the thorax to create a nice flotation effect for this pattern. Then I'm going to take this saddle hackle and wind that forward through this dubbing mix that I just applied with 3 or 4 winds up to the head of the fly. And then I'll tie that off and clip off the excess. So from this point, I'm going to take the CDC feather and manipulate it in my fingers to pull it upward and around and forward to create the loop wing with that CDC feather. And I'll go ahead and just adjust it a touch, get it right where I want it, and then tie that down with several wraps of thread at the head and clip off the excess CDC feather with my scissors. And then I'll go ahead from there and drop into a whip finish, and I'll whip finish this fly and finish it off. Next, however, I probably have a touch of cleanup to do. I'm going to trim some of the stray CDC fibers that didn't bind down exactly how I wanted them to. And then I'll take my bodkin or scissors and kind of poke it right through the middle of the wing and orient that wing a little more upright. The hackle will tend to help hold it in place, so you can just kind of torque it and move it and put it right where you want it to on this fly, so you've got a nice wing shape on this pattern. So now I've finished my cleanup, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate this around in my vise so you can see the fly on all 4 sides. It's really a nice pattern. It looks rather scraggly due to the CDC materials that we've used on the fly, but nonetheless, this is a fish catcher. So that's been your Sunriver Anglers Fly Tying Corner for this month. I hope you'll give the Quigly Loopy Wing Blue Wing Olive a try. Great pattern. And if you like what you see, subscribe to our Facebook page, Sunriver Anglers, and also subscribe to our YouTube page. Thank you.